Friends, I was trying to go live on one of my other platforms, but I lost those privileges because of my low following. So we're just gonna go live here. So first of all, I am a sinner just like you. I am not perfect. I screw up every day. And so part of these lives is going to be just me learning and navigating the Bible through some of the challenges that I personally encounter. And we're going to start with drinking, because drinking is a problem a lot of us deal with. And sometimes we don't even realize it's a problem. So we're going to start in Proverbs 20, verse 1. It says, "Wine is a mocker and beer is a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise." But that little short verse, we about to break it down, because I got so many notes and so many questions, and it took me through so many other parts. So first, let's break it down. The first part says, wine is a mocker, right? And what that's saying is wine can make people behave foolishly, say things they don't mean, or act out of character. It can mock your intentions and your reputation. Think about that. Have you ever drank and acted dumb or foolish, or done things you normally wouldn't have done, or that maybe made you look bad? Because I'm guilty. Definitely have been there. Now the second part says beer is a brawler. Now think about the word brawler, like a fight, an argument, It says alcohol leads to aggression or lack of self-control. Think of it as stirring conflict, but not just with other people. Sometimes just within yourselves. How many times have you allowed yourself to be drunk and go down the rabbit hole of conflicts in your head that maybe no one has actually created but you? Think about that. And then the last part says, whoever is led astray by them is not wise. By them meaning the alcohol, right? The beer, the wine. And now what this is not saying that drinking is a sin, because as you know in the Bible, they drank wine. What it's saying is, if you are led by it, meaning if you allow alcohol to control your actions, your mind, your decision, now you lost your wisdom. So it can be a dangerous situation, right? So basically, you can have a drink, you can have 2 drinks, but what you cannot do is get drunk and lose control, let it control your actions, your behaviors, your decision making, because now who's really in control here, you or the alcohol? Think about that. And then I have some questions at the end. But that was just some talking points I took. But I have this Bible study Bible. It's not a regular Bible where you just read it. And so it has commentary at the bottom to help you walk through like what you're reading. And so when it breaks down this verse, it says, wine mocks the one who drinks it, and beer makes him a loud and aggressive brawler without self-control. Intoxicating drinks have often led to great misery and suffering. How many of you can relate to that? Like, I know for a fact, like from even growing up, domestic violence, all of these things were part of my life because of alcohol or drugs or both. They can lead people astray and cause them to do foolish and abusive things. Though the scripture mentions the medicine value, I can't say medicinal, whatever, a small amount of wine, unquestionably, its excessive use and any form of intoxication were expressly forbidden for God's people. Also clear is how quickly it moves to become a snare and destroy. But there's a few other verses that come up while you're going through this. So the first one that comes up is Proverbs 23:20. So Proverbs 23:20 says, Do not join those who drink too much wine. But now let's break that down, right? 23:20 is no, not that one. And then it also brings up 23:29 through 35. So that says, who has woe, who has sorrow, who has strife, who has complaints, who has needless bruises, who has bloodshot eyes, those who linger over wine, who go to sample bowls of mixed wine. Do not gaze at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it does, when it goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a snake and poison like a viper. Your eyes will see strange sights, and your mind will imagine confusing things. You will be like one sleeping on a high sea, lying on top of rigging. They hit me, you will say, but I'm not hurt. They beat me, but I don't feel it. When will I wake up so I can find another drink? This is deep, guys. This is deep. When you break down these verses, again, this is Proverbs 23:29 through 35. So this says, this vivid describes a drunken. Often drunkenness is characterized by laughter, partying, and great fun. The devastating picture here is exactly the opposite. This person is beset by problems, quarrels, anxiety, hallucinations, and poor health. Many marriages, home, and businesses have been wrecked because of a man or woman who became enslaved to a drink. This is so true, guys. This is why so many marriages fall apart. This is why domestic violence happens. This is why a lot of businesses go astray, because you start partying, having a good life, and then you neglect your business, or you mismanage money, or all of the things revolve around this problem. Even though the drunken described is miserable, they cannot wait to wake up so they can have another drink. Now think about that. You feel like straight trash. You feel like trash, yet you're looking forward to waking up the next day to have a drink. Like, how crazy is that? I mean, I've been guilty. I've been there. I know it's true. Or you just feel so crappy that you're like, oh, well, let me just have another drink because who cares, right? The admonition, I can't speak, is to refuse to allow your eyes to look at the wine. Outwardly it sparkles, but it is as deadly as a poisonous snake. Think about that. That's crazy to me. But then it also went to the beginning, to Genesis. So we're going to go to Genesis. What was it? Genesis 9:20 and 21. Okay. And in Genesis 9:20 and 21, it says, Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and laid uncovered inside his tent. Now think about that, because it's basically saying that he was laying naked in the streets because he was drunk. Now, who would do that in their right mind, right? No, the alcohol took control and had power over him, and obviously took over, and he looked like a foolish person. And then 19:30 to 36. Wait, where was I? I didn't mark that one. I did. 19:30 to 36 is the story of Lot and his daughters. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of people know this story. I'm going to paraphrase, but basically Lot's daughters didn't have a husband, and he didn't have any sons. So it was only the two girls, and they were like, you know what? Let's get our dad drunk and sleep with him so we could bear children, and hopefully we have a son so that our bloodline can proceed, right? And That's insane. Think about that. I mean, obviously it was a different time. Today you wouldn't think about sleeping with your dad, right? But they both succeeded 2 nights in a row in getting him drunk, and both daughters slept with the dad, and both daughters, in fact, became pregnant. And when you break this down, 31 says Lot's daughters, the interception of Lot's story between God's promise to Abraham and the birth of Isaac highlights God's perseverance out of a godly line. Even the descendants of Lot, Abraham's closest relatives, had been corrupted and defiling the bloodline made by the birth of Isaac imperative. It's like God had to intervene and say, no, let's give them Isaac because they already screwed up royally and we need to find something to fix this. So let's talk about this. Okay, I have a few more minutes. Think about how alcohol mocks you. It makes you forget who you are striving to become. I'm 100% guilty of this. Like sometimes I have this perfect plan. Perfect example last week. Last week was the perfect example. Absolutely no reason for me to go out on Tuesday, but I did. Got drunk. I'm going to just be honest. I got drunk. I went to work, obviously, the next day. But then I hung out on Thursday. Again, got drunk. Hung out on Friday. Again, got drunk. And there was literally no reason for me to be there because I had a whole week full of events that were to set my business, my life, my journey in alignment with what I'm trying to do. However, who was in control here? Was I in control or was the alcohol in control? 100% the alcohol had control of me last week. So think about the decisions you make. When you drink, right? And you, again, the sin is not the drinking. The sin is getting drunk and allowing the alcohol to control your life, to control your decisions, your actions, your mind. Once the alcohol is in control and you've lost that control, that's where it's dangerous. That's where you lose your wisdom. That is where it's a sin. It's frowned upon. It's against God's will. So think about the decisions you make when you're drinking. Like, think about who's really in control. The spirit, your spirit, God's spirit, or the sipping. Think about that. Because I am guilty of losing control. I am guilty of giving in to temptation. And I just want to be clear, this verse is not about judgment. It's about awareness. It's about self-control. It's about spiritual clarity. Okay? Where has the alcohol taken away the wisdom from you? And how can we let God into those areas of our lives, into that space, so that when we feel the need to go have that drink, we can call out to God instead of that drink. And so those are my thoughts for you today. I hope this helped. It definitely helped me when I was reviewing it and studying last night. And I appreciate for those of you who tuned in. I will be back live here tomorrow with a different scripture also around alcohol. And I'm going to see what rabbit hole that scripture takes me through. But if you saw my stories yesterday, if not, they should still be up, I think, from yesterday. You'll see the different scriptures I'm going to be covering over the next couple of days, possibly weeks, because this one scripture was really part of 3 scriptures. But when I broke it down, it was just a lot to cover. And so I just pray that you guys join me and that you enjoy this. And if it was helpful, if you felt any part of it was relatable, please share it. Someone else may need these words, not just you, not just me. And I truly love you guys. God bless and have an amazing day.